Section 23 of Hearth and Home, Collected Poems and Stories by Various. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. The Drinking House Over the Way. The room was so cold, so cheerless and bare, with its rickety table and one broken chair, with its curtainless window with hardly a pane, to keep out the snow, the wind, and the rain. A cradle stood empty, pushed up to the wall, and somehow that seemed the saddest of all. In the rusty old stove the fire was dead. There was snow on the floor at the foot of the bed. And there, all alone, a pale woman was lying. You need not look twice to see she was dying. Dying of want, of hunger and cold. Shall I tell you her story, the story she told? No, ma'am, I'm no better. My cough is so bad. It's wearing me out, though, and that makes me glad. For it's wearisome living when one's all alone, and heaven, they tell me, is just like a home. Yes, ma'am, I've a husband. He's somewhere about. I hoped he'd come in, for the fire went out. But I guess he has gone where he's likely to stay. I mean, to the drinking house over the way. It was not always so, and I hope you won't think too hard of him, lady. It's only the drink. I know he's kind-hearted, for oh, how he cried for our poor little baby the morning it died. You see, he took sudden and grew very bad, and we had no doctor, my poor little lad, for his father had gone, never meaning to stay, I am sure, to the drinking house over the way. And when he came back, 'twas far in the night, and I was so tired and sick with fright of staying so long with my baby alone, and it cutting my heart with its pitiful moan. He was cross with the drink, poor fellow, I know. It was that, not his baby, that bothered him so. But he swore at the child as panting it lay, and went back to the drinking house over the way. I heard the gate slam, and my heart seemed to freeze, like ice in my bosom, and there on my knees, by the side of the cradle, all shivering I stayed. I wanted my mother. I cried and I prayed. The clock, it struck 2, ere my baby was still, and my thoughts went back to my home on the hill, where my happy girlhood had spent its short day, far, far from the drinking house over the way. Could I be that girl, I, the heartbroken wife, there watching alone while that dear little life was going so fast that I had to bend low to hear if he breathed, 'twas so faint and so slow? Yes, it was easy, his dying. He just grew more white, and his eyes opened wider to look for the light. As his father came in, 'twas just break of day, came in from the drinking house over the way. Yes, ma'am, he was sober, at least mostly, I think. He often stayed that way to wear off the drink, and I know he was sorry for what he had done, for he set a great store by our first little one. And straight did he come to the cradle bed where our baby lay dead, so pretty and fair. I wondered that I could have wished him to stay when there was a drinking house over the way. He stood quiet a while, did not understand, you see, till he touched the cold little hand. Oh, then came the tears, and he shook like a leaf, as he said 'twas the drinking that made all the grief. The neighbors were kind, and the minister came, and he talked of my seeing my baby again, and of the bright angels. I wondered if they could see in that drinking house over the way. And I thought when my baby was put in the ground, and the men with their spades were shaping the mound, if someone only would help me to save my husband who stood by my side at the grave. If only it were not so handy to drink. The men that make laws, ma'am, sure didn't think of the hearts they would break, of the souls they would slay, when they licensed that drinking house over the way. And it's tempting him here, and it's tempting him there. 4 places I've counted in this very square, where a man can get whiskey by night and by day, not to mention the drinking house over the way. I've been sick ever since, and it cannot be long. Be pitiful, lady, to him when I'm gone. He wants to do right, but you never can think how weak a man grows when he's fond of drink. There's a verse in the Bible the minister read, no drunkard shall enter the kingdom, it said. And he is my husband, and I love him so, and where I am going, I want him to go. Our baby and I will both want him there. Don't you think the dear Savior will answer your prayer? And please, when I'm gone, ask someone to pray for him at that drinking house over the way. End of section 23, read by Elsie Selwyn.